Cowboys have a big game in Waco. I'm Barry Tremmel, along with OSU writer Kyle Fredrickson. We are counting down to Saturday when Oklahoma State plays at Baylor, the Big 12's highest-ranked team at number 16. And no Coach Art Briles for the Bears, but Mike Gundy says this Baylor team looks a lot like the Baylor teams of the recent past.
Yeah, a game just chock full of storylines, Barry, whether it be Mason Rudolph returning to the site of his very first game when they burned the red shirt 2 years ago in the rain, whether it be Jim Grobe and what he does with this team that's any differently than Art Briles, how much he keeps it the same. In an offense that has a lot of guys who are real high-caliber players in skill positions, Seth Russell at quarterback, K.D. Cannon at receiver, the list goes on. But you just wonder, with all the controversy swirling, how is this Baylor team going to play against a quality opponent?
You know, this Baylor team is untested. Rice, SMU, Northwestern Louisiana is Baylor's victims, and frankly, Baylor hasn't dominated in some of the ways they have in the past. But Mike Gundy says that's not all that different. You mentioned Russell and K.D. Cannon. Shock Linwood, the tailback, is about to become Baylor's all-time leading rusher. This Baylor offense looks like the same Art Briles offense as we've seen in the past. Briles' staff stayed. They're intact. Jim Grobe just seems to be coordinating the meetings.
Right.
The coaches still coaching these guys up the way they have in the past.
Right, and Mike Gundy made no doubt about it. This is a Baylor offense that's predicated on the run game. If they can get that run game going and force you to throw a couple guys in the box, that's when they have their heyday over the top and with this spread offense and how fast they are. And you brought up a good point with Coach Gundy in the presser on Monday, Barry. This is a McLean Stadium that has a whole new atmosphere in Waco. You know, over the years, the fan support hasn't been what it is today, and it's just kind of crazy how this house that Art built basically a few years ago has now sort of become a football mecca in Baylor, given that they've been talented year after year, even with some of this scandal. So the first game for a lot of these young players on the road in a raucous environment. If weather's going to be a factor like we saw last year, that'll throw in another twist into all this, but certainly a huge test for the Cowboys.
Well, OSU, of course, the disappointing loss to Central Michigan, sort of a loss, but getting back and beating Pitt, you win this game, and Oklahoma State gets back in the discussion as a Big 12 title contender.
Yeah, and as they move on with playoff aspirations, they're going to point back to that loss and tell the committee, hey, you saw what happened. You know what the real outcome of that game was, in hopes that that doesn't hurt them down the line, you know, if for some reason they're able to run the table. Well,
Cowboys get the Big 12 season started Saturday night in Waco. Stay tuned for further OSU football coverage here on News OK and every day in the Oklahoman.